We're going to continue working with quadratics. Our ultimate goal will be to solve quadratic equations by factoring. We will not get into that tonight or tomorrow during class because there's a little bit of background information and knowledge that we need to have in order to factor these quadratic equations. So let's just consider some terminology and some things that we have seen before already. We've used FOIL to write the quantity x plus 3 times x plus 5 as x squared plus 8x plus 15. In this problem, x plus 3 and x plus 5 are both called binomials since they have two terms. X squared plus 8x plus 15 is a trinomial because it has three terms. So we FOIL binomials to get trinomials. We factor trinomials in order to get to a product of binomials. So we're going to go from the trinomial x squared plus 8x plus 15 to something like x plus 3 times x plus 5. Here's how we do this. So if we look here, we have x squared minus 12x minus 28. So what we need is we have negative 28. We need factors of negative 28 that combine to give us 12. So I have 1 and negative 28, and then I have negative 1 and positive 28. I have 2 and negative 14, and I have negative 2 and positive 14. 3 isn't a factor of 28. I have 4 and negative 7, and I also have negative 4 and positive 7. Now, any of those that I can use to combine to give me negative 12, I'm going to use, and that's, in this case, is 2 and negative 14. So when we factor this, I rewrite it with my two sets of parentheses. Since the number in front of x squared is 1, a is 1, I just have x and x. I have positive 2, so I'll have plus 2, and I have minus 14. So to me, that is factoring this. This would be your answer. You must check your answer, and we check it by FOILing. X times x is x squared. X times negative 14 is minus 14x. 2 times x is plus 2x. And 2 times negative 14 is minus 28. And when we simplify that, we get x squared minus 12x minus 28. So our final answer, that factor is x plus 2 times x minus 14. And we want to list the factors over here. Now, as we do more and more of these, you'll be able to pick out the factors that you're going to need to work with. What you want to think of are factors of 28 that can combine to give you 12. In this case, negative 28 and negative 12 in this particular example. It always helps to put all of these factors out if you're not sure. It's never going to hurt you to do that. Another example. So again, we have negative 48. Now I need factors of negative 48 that will combine to give me 2, negative 2. I'm just going to write 1 and negative 48, 2 and negative 24, 3 and negative 16, 4 and negative 12, 5 isn't, 6 and negative 8. Now if I look at those, because I can always just take the opposite and make the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 negative, and the 48, 24, 16, 12, and 8, make those positive. So we want to look at those. Do any of those combine to give us negative 2? And the answer is yes. 6 and negative 8, when you add those together, we get negative 2. So when we factor this, we have x plus 6 times x minus 8. And our check is the following. X times x is x squared. X times negative 8 is negative 8x. 6 times x is plus 6x. 6 times negative 8 is minus 48. This will give us x squared minus 2x minus 48. So this is the correct factorization of x squared minus 2x minus 48. Now, those cases both had the coefficient of x squared as 1. This one has just the coefficient of x squared as 3. Whoops, pressed the wrong button. We have 3, so it's not 1. These ones are a little more challenging, a little more time-consuming. So let's just come back to something here where we have A, B, C. So our first step in solving this is to do A times C, which in this case gives me 3 times 10, which is 30. Okay, our first step is to do A times C. Now, our second step, we need factors of 30 that combine to be negative 17. Okay, so if we think of our factors of 30, we're going to need negative 1, negative 30, negative 2, negative 15, negative 3, negative 10, 4 isn't, negative 5, negative 6. Now, any of those combine to give us negative 17, and the answer is yes, negative 2, negative 5. So what we do then is we rewrite the original expression. Okay, we rewrite it as the following. 3x squared minus 2x minus 15x plus 10. So all we did was we rewrote negative 17x as negative 2x minus 15x. So we have not changed the problem. We haven't changed it at all. So negative 2 and negative 15 will get us right back there. Now what we do is we group this term and we group this term. And we can put a plus sign between those because we're combining those two terms together. What we do is we take the greatest common factor of these two terms, which is x, and factor it out. That leaves us with 3x minus 2. Over here, we also factor out the greatest common factor. In this case, it'll be minus 5. That'll leave us with 3x minus 2. Hopefully you notice that we have the same thing in parentheses, which is what we need. Okay? That step right there is called factor by grouping. What we do now is we pull out the 3x minus 2. So we factored it out. That leaves us with x minus 5. So what we have here is we have our factorization of the original expression. If we were to FOIL this, our check 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 is plus 10. This would simplify to 3x squared minus 17x plus 10. So there's our factorization. Now what you could do guess and check. Plug in your 3x, plug in your x into your parentheses down here in your answer. But then you would have a lot of guessing and checking, and we're not exactly sure. This process will let you factor it correctly every single time. That's all we're going to do for today. We'll do a couple more examples with this, because I know this one, when a is not 0, takes a while to get comfortable with. But you have the steps. We'll refresh the steps, and we'll continue practicing these tomorrow during class.